stand before you as a Catholic. I stand in solidarity with the millions of religious Americans who believe that the government should not force individuals or institutions to violate their religious beliefs or face government fines. The HHS mandate does just that, and we demand relief from the mandate. Obamacare forces all of us, religious or not, to pay for other people's elective abortions through our tax dollars. Now, whether you believe that abortion is health care or not, we can all agree that Americans should not be forced to pay for other people's elective abortions. Congress must defund Obamacare now. Thank you very much.
From California.
Hello, Patriots. Hello, friends. It's a wonderful crowd, and by my accent you can tell that I am from far away. I've been living in this wonderful country of ours for 34 years. I came from a country of tyranny called the Soviet Union. I was a lieutenant in the Soviet Army. I was working as an engineer in the Soviet Union, and then some miracle happened and I was able to leave, and I came to this wonderful nation 34 years back. I can honestly say, without any doubt in my mind, it's still the best country in the world. And because of you, I cannot quit. I'm not going to give up, because the more we learn about those jokers in this building, the better off we are. And I can tell you that I was eating Central Bayer System with my mouth full for half of my life. I really experienced what tyranny is and what freedom is all about. And we had a goal of one of the, I can call her a congresswoman, that told us 3 years ago, we have to pass this bill in order to find out what's in it. And we found out what's in it, and we hate it. We can't accept it. And we have to defund Obamacare, because I came here for freedom. I came here for security. And when somebody or someone or some organization forced me to buy a product by private enterprise, and if I'm not buying it, I have to pay a fine, it's a total contradiction with our Commerce Clause and therefore unconstitutional. You give me hope. You give me hope that we can overcome this. We overcame so many things in the past, and I am not signing off on this wonderful nation. God bless you. God bless America.
How are you guys doing? Is it hot out there? So I remember about 4 years ago, almost to this day, the first time we all gathered here. Do you guys remember that? We were mad at these guys behind me. We felt like we didn't have a seat at the table. Guess what? We have a seat at the table today. Ted Cruz is at that table. Mike Lee is at that table. Rand Paul, Mark Meadows, we finally have a seat at that table. Do you know why that matters? Because you did that. You did that, and we've come a long way in 4 years, but I'm wildly optimistic that we're going to get this job done. It's now the insiders versus the rest of us. It's not Republicans versus Democrats. It's Washington, D.C. versus America. But we are realigning American politics. I know you guys are tired. I know you think that they're not listening. But just watch what happens in the next couple weeks. We're going to stop Obamacare. We're going to stop this war in Syria. We're going to stop $17 trillion in debt. And come next November, we're going to figure out who was with us and who was against us. Are you guys with me? Do you guys want to back down? Are you ready to give up? You guys are awesome. Thank you so much.
Dr. Juan Torres from Florida.
Hello everybody, thank you so much for coming here. I don't know what can I tell you in 90 seconds, but I'll do my best. There are only two kinds of people that may support Obamacare. I am telling you this from my heart. I am a doctor and I know what we're dealing with. Number one, whoever doesn't know Obamacare. And number two, whoever doesn't care. Let me tell you something, don't call it Obamacare. Because he doesn't care. He doesn't care about the doctors. Doctors are selling their practices all over the country. He doesn't care about the patients. He cut more than $900 billion in Medicare. He doesn't care about the country. He costs more than $6 trillion. And let me tell you something, when you go to the ER, you don't go as I am Republican or I am a Democrat. You are a patient, and you need to be treated with respect as a patient, and he doesn't have the right to choose your doctors. One last thing. I came from a socialist country, and the last thing I wanted to see in America is this. America is worth fighting. Don't let it do the same thing that they did in Venezuela. This is the kind of thing you see in Venezuela. This is America, and you have the right to choose your doctor. God bless you, and don't stop fighting.
Ladies and gentlemen, North Carolina Tea Party activist from Durham, Mr. Brad Schuler.
Thank you. Got some sound. Hey, I came today from North Carolina. I want to thank you guys for always showing up. Always showing up at these rallies is truly a beautiful sight. Hello. You know, our founders stood together because they love freedom, but mostly because they love one another. It is true, they pledged to each other their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. Looking around here today, I get the feeling we all share that same sense of love and commitment to each other that they must have felt so many years ago. You know, that love and positive energy, after all, is what sets us apart from so many godless, barbaric societies that have come before, and many that exist to this day. From my perspective, a Christian one, freedom comes from God. And all we really have to do to enjoy it is simply to love each other. This is not to say that love does not require great personal responsibility. More often, love will require that we make personal sacrifices. It requires getting out of one's comfort zone to do the hard work and standing for what is true and right, such as the stand you have taken here today. I've been here before, and I have argued in defense of our medical system with love in my heart. At sunrise this morning, I prayed that our representatives will feel God's love in their hearts, and that the blinders of this place will fall away from their eyes.
Amen.
And they may be able to remember back to a time when they still loved us. If they were to mutually pledge to us their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor, they would be changed men and women, free to sacrifice their political careers and to do the right thing and defund Obamacare. It has been one of the greatest honors of my life to have stood with you guys in this chapter, no doubt, in American history. If we didn't love each other, and if we didn't love future generations of freedom-loving Americans, then I suppose this old sleeping giant would have just stayed asleep. Thanks for standing up together. God bless you all.
How you guys doing out there? You hanging in there with us? All right, I'm Todd Sefrani. I'm the founder of the TeaParty.net and Tea Party News Network. I'd like to take you back in history a little bit. Y'all remember 1988 when Ronald Reagan stood at the Brandenburg Gate, looked evil in the eye, and said, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall." Right. Well, I'd like to ask all of you out there to join me in telling Mr. Obama in this 2,600-page document law takeover of our health care that no one's ever read, Mr. Obama, tear down this law! Now, if I may, I'll give you a little background on how the TeaParty.net started. I'm just a dad from Gilbert, Arizona. No political experience whatsoever. I'm you. Take you back to March 2010. I'm sitting on my sofa. Do you remember someone walking up those steps with that big gavel and that big smug look on her face? That's the day that Obamacare was passed. And it was passed when 70% of you said you did not want the law. Not one Republican in either house voted for it. And what did Obama and the Democrats do? They still pushed it down our throats. Okay? And what happened when we had an opportunity to take it down in the Senate? You all, the liberal Massachusetts, voted in Scott Brown. What did they do? They still pushed it down our throat. They used procedural maneuvers and the reconciliation process to push this law down the American people's throat against the will of the people. I don't know about you, but that's when I got off my couch and I started the TeaParty.net, and that's you. Thank you. Let's not forget that the people in charge with implementing Obamacare are the same people who are targeting us, the IRS. They're part of the same IRS that bullies and badgers all of you. Conservative groups like Freedom and Patriot in their name, and they're badgering us, and they still are to this day. The same IRS that wastes millions of taxpayer dollars on parties. The same IRS that has been taking and wasting your money for years. And now they're going to take $250 billion more so that Barack Obama can spread the wealth around. All right, in conclusion, I have a message for everyone in that building, and I hope you join me with you. And the message is, if you fund this 5-spiral fiscal crash, we are going to blame you And on the next election, we are going to defeat you. Thank you. God bless you all, and may God bless the United States of America.
James Arthur from the Knoxville Tea Party.
Howdy, ladies and gentlemen. How would you like to strike a mighty blow for liberty? We have a very easy way. You can wake up millions and millions of Americans with two simple questions. We just want people to ask their employers, can I keep my plan? And when am I going to see the savings in my paycheck? Here's how it works. You're at work. You're at the water cooler. If you're at work, standing around the water cooler with your buddies, you say, hey, can we keep our plan? And you know, they don't know. So you say, you know what? I'm going to ask human resources. I'm going to find out. Now, those people, it's an honest question. Doesn't matter what party you are, they want to know, can we keep our plan? And they know who said that they could. So, email human resources, and then your buddies want to know, can we keep our plan? And guess what? The answer is no. If you're not grandfathered, it's not your plan. If you're not grandfathered, it's the government's plan. Kathleen Sebelius determines your benefits. She determines your premiums. So we call these the water cooler questions. They are going across America. We have cards. There are gentlemen handing them out. Feel free to collect them, pass it on, spread these two questions. Can I keep my plan? When am I going to see the savings? Let's keep America free.
Herman Cain of the Herman Cain Show.
Play the music, play the music, play the music. Yeah. Welcome. I'm delighted to be here, but I'm more excited that you are here. And in the amount of time that I have, there are two thoughts that I want to share with you that maybe some people are already familiar with. Number one, America is divided. Not between the haves and the have-nots, but between the political class and the working class, and we be the working class. You see, the working class believes in that old army motto, be all you can be. The political class believes in a different motto, be all that they want you to be. And the second thing that I want to share with you is a breaking news announcement to they. You see, they want to tell us what insurance to buy. They want to tell our doctors how to do their job. They even want to tell us when to die by way of the death panels. But here's the breaking news announcement. They ain't in charge of this country. We the people are still in charge of this country. And I was asking in an interview before I came up here, is the Tea Party dying? And I said to this reporter, anybody who said that the Tea Party has died, they have lied, because the Tea Party is alive and well, and you represent that. Here's what we have to do going forward. I know that many people are discouraged. don't be discouraged. I know that a lot of people are frustrated about what Obamacare is doing to their businesses, what it's doing to their families, what's it doing to this economy. But you have to remember, this is not a sprint, it's a marathon. And before you turn something around, you must first slow it down, and then you can stop it, and then we can replace it. That's what we got to do over the long haul. There is a new revolution in America. And it's not about bombs and bullets. The new revolution in America is about brains and ballots, and we the people got the brains, and we're going to show up at the ballot to take our nation back. Thank you very much.
Thank you to my fellow Atlantan, Herman Cain. If you're here tonight in D.C., the Alexandria Tea Party has a very good event going on that they asked if we would make an announcement to let you know about. It is the Survivors of Communism Summit, and it will be in Old Town Alexandria at 201 South Washington Street from 6 to 9:30 p.m. I'm looking at the list of speakers, and there will be Congressman Jim Bridenstine, who you've heard from before, Dr. Lee Edwards from the Heritage Foundation, a Hungarian ambassador, a survivor from Tiananmen Square, someone who lived under communism in Romania, someone from Vietnam, Czechoslovakia, and the Ukraine. It seems like it's going to be an incredible event, so if you're here tonight, be sure to go and check this event out. 201 South Washington Street in Alexandria from 6 to 9:30 tonight. Over the last month and a half, we've had many coalition partners working on this effort with us and standing shoulder to shoulder with us. One of the groups who has been doing town hall events around the country is Heritage Action. Please welcome, on behalf of Heritage Action, Dan Holler.
Thank you, Ginny. Thank you, everybody, for coming out here today. I know it's hot, but your fellow Americans owe you a debt of gratitude. That's right. They owe you a debt of gratitude. The families of UPS workers owe you a debt of gratitude. The employees of Forever 21 and the 250 other businesses across this country have seen their hours cut back because of Obamacare. They all owe you a debt of gratitude because you're standing out here today making the case to those guys in Congress that they need to defund Obamacare. But we know this isn't the first time you've rallied against Obamacare. You were there in August of 2009 at the town halls. And Obama, Pelosi, and Reid ignored you. So what did you do? You turned out to the polls in 2010. You are the reason that John Boehner is Speaker of the House. You are the reason that Eric Cantor is the Majority Leader and Kevin McCarthy is the Majority Whip. They're there because of you. But I hate to break it to you. They're going to do the exact same thing. They're getting ready to ignore you. They told us today that they're going to use a gimmick, a procedural gimmick. They're not going to fight to defund Obamacare. They're going to use a gimmick. They're going to send it over to the Senate and say, hey, we did our part. They're patting you all on the head. They're saying, thanks for everything you did. Now let the adults handle this. Well, looking out here, I think the adults in Washington are standing right out here. They're not back there. Hey, they are in for a big surprise. That's right. It's time we send them the message that gimmicks, no more gimmicks, no more games. We want them to stand up and fight and defund Obamacare now. We're not going to wait. We're not going to say, oh, we'll do this later. We'll do this next year. We're tired of waiting. No more Lucy in the football. Now is the time to defund Obamacare. exempt the American people from Obamacare. Thank you all for being out here and doing what you do. Good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, my name is Christian Hine. I'm the editor of PunditHouse.com, and I'm the current president of Caution, the Charlotte Tea Party. Caution is an acronym for Common Americans United to Inspire Our Nation. It is with great pleasure that we unite here today, not only with you, but with the majority of the American people that are opposed to the implementation of Obamacare. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not the time for conservatives in the House to cower. With right on their side, it is time to lead. Declaring defeat before the fight is not leadership, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. The House needs to pass a continuing resolution that fully funds the government with the exception of Obamacare. I think they should call it the Keeping Government Open Act of 2013. The bill then needs to be marched to the Senate and in grand fashion have it decreed that we hereby deliver this bill to the Democrat Senate to complete the people's work and keep America's government open. Ladies and gentlemen, in other words, go on the offensive and set the narrative. The Senate cannot defend the indefensible. And if they try, then by God, let them suffer the consequences at the ballot box. Ladies and gentlemen, my friends, we have an opportunity. We have an opportunity to stop this tax increasing, job killing, debt hiking, quality lowering, poorly planned, have to rate it to find out what's in it, bureaucratically implemented healthcare provider hurting law. Are you with me? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Defund Obamacare.
Congressman Phil Gingrich.
We're here today to demand the defunding of Obamacare. I've traveled across Georgia, and I keep hearing the same thing. Repeal this law. I hear you. I'm listening to you, and I promise you this. I will use every tool at my disposal to fight this disastrous law. And I will not vote for any bill that funds Obamacare by one single nickel. I've also introduced a bill this week, the No Special Treatment for Congress Act. That reverses the Obamacare exemption for members of Congress and their staff. This carve-out is yet another example of the Obama administration's changing the law for political gain and shielding Washington insiders from the consequences of this horrible law. The exemption for members of Congress and their staffs must be reversed. Between increased health care costs, scores of missed deadlines, political handouts to friends, this is further proof that Obamacare must be repealed. I will not stop fighting for this or for you. You and all Americans deserve better. Thank you. God bless the USA and God bless Georgia. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Joe Dugan from South Carolina.
Hello, Patriots. So now we have this great program called Obamacare. That was supposed to drive down the price of health care by forcing everyone to participate and spread out the cost, right? Are anyone's premiums going down? If you don't file a tax return, you're exempt. If you're an illegal alien, you're exempt.
If you're in jail, you're exempt. If you are a member of staff in Congress, you're exempt. For every exemption, it adds to the burden on the remaining wage earners and taxpayers. And now that the law is passed, who can change it? Strangely, Congress doesn't seem to have a say, but apparently anyone who gets the President's or Kathleen Sebelius' ear will have their exemptions considered. IRS employees have a prominent role in Obamacare. They want to hire 16,500 more agents. But their own union wants no part of the law. The National Treasury Employees Union officials are looking for an exemption. Do we really need a politicized IRS rummaging through our health issues and records? And whatever happened to doctor-patient confidentiality? So who wrote this law anyway? Labor unions, lobbyists, corporations, and insurance companies all had their say in it, but it wasn't Congress that wrote the law, with some 159 new government agencies, boards, and programs busily enforcing the roughly 20,000 pages of rules and regulations. They admit they didn't even read it. It was too massive and incomprehensible. Well, ponder this for a moment. The President said last year that his plan would have free checkups, free mammograms, free immunizations, and all kinds of other free basic services. Economists at Duke University studied the ramifications of these Obamacare mandates. By their calculations, the average primary care doctor would have to spend 7.5 hours each and every day simply to provide these wellness screenings for patients who are primarily healthy. So much for taking care of the sick. We have not been told the truth about Obamacare. Indeed, we still don't know it, because it changes every day as whiners, winners, and losers are chosen and rewarded with lollipops and punished with taxes and redistribution of their hard-earned earnings. And where is journalism? Never mind investigative journalism in America today. If you no longer believe in our Constitution and what freedom of the press really means, say so and go on writing your opinion columns instead of the truth. Fewer and fewer Americans are buying it, and that shows in your declining profit margins. And how are they, by the way? Is there not a Woodward or a Bernstein among you? We need to exempt America from Obamacare now. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe Dugan. All right. The House of Representatives is voting right now. And we've got 3 more congressmen who we need to thank and to stand with today. So we've got a few more speakers before them. And I want to make sure you stay here. They're going to be down here in about the next 15 minutes for Congressman Jim Jordan, Congressman Steve Stockman, and a congressman from New Jersey who signed the Mark Meadows letter yesterday, Congressman Garrett. In the meantime, I want to tell you one more thing before we introduce our next speaker. We've been doing these toolkits for Tea Party Patriots. If you go to teapartypatriots.org, we're trying to give you the tools you need so that you can get in touch with your congressman and your senator. You know how to write a letter to the editor. We give you tips on that. A sample letter to your congressman, a sample letter to your senator. So if you go to teapartypatriots.org, you can click right now on the Get your Defund Obama toolkit here, and you'll see this great toolkit that one of the members of our support team created. So be sure to check that out. Now, before our next speaker, what is it that you want Congress to do while you're here today? What was that again? One more time! All right, let's welcome our next speaker.
State Coordinator for the North Carolina Tea Party Patriots, Mark Hager.
Well, we couldn't have picked a cooler day to have this event, could we? Trying to heat up Washington, D.C., correct? Most of you all that don't know who I am from the Tar Heel State, I am a college professor in a liberal arts environment. That always happens out there. But also I teach colonial history. And like many of you all who have actually read the Constitution, things just didn't add up. Things just did not make sense. And I would read, you ever heard about the First Amendment? And then you worry about the Second Amendment. And it's amazing. And when you're in this environment, it's like you have to reteach everything all over again. And so we have lots of concerns. You know, I have spent 3 summers down on the border with Arizona and Texas trying to make sense of Article 2, Section 2 of the U.S. Constitution having to do with securing our borders and protection from domestic invasion. Anybody ever heard that problem? Trying to understand it. And I do want to dedicate at least a little bit of this to a close friend of ours who died, unfortunately, about this time last year. Some of you may know and remember Sheriff Larry Deaver, Cochise County, Arizona. And so it's thanks to him he educated us about what's really happening and trying to understand just how intense drug cartels and terror cells building across this land actually is. But folks, when we look around this Capitol building and we think back at the history of this place and we think of the Christian heritage, I was at a meeting a while back and they were saying that you should not have you should not have prayer in school. But I asked, well, have you ever heard where the name school came from? And they all got quiet, and I said there was a Catholic nun, her name was Scholastica. Your little kids, when they come home, have this little newsletter called what? Scholastica News. And she was working with her twin, that was Benedict and Nursia, to educate and teach people how to read a certain book. Anybody know what it was? The Bible. And so kids would go, and instead of saying Scholastica, they would say, we are going to school. So when you say you can't have prayer in school, it's like saying you can read the Bible, but you can't say Jesus. Or say you can talk about Harleys, but don't ride a motorcycle. And so it's always amazing to see people say, I didn't know that. And when you look at some of the educational systems and programs such as Common Core, in which you are going to be reading about how to properly read a recipe or a menu from a restaurant instead of Tom Sawyer, you wonder where America is going to go. And so that's why I encourage everyone, when your kids come home from school, this time actually read what they're having to read. And don't be afraid to speak up. There are people out there who want to hear you say something. Or else you're just going to have things like Common Core just coming right down your throat, and it will happen on your watch. And so I look at it not on my watch, that you need to find your educators and encourage them and say, we want you to tell the real truth, the real history, the real heritage of this nation. We want to really hear about the Founding Fathers. We don't want to hear any more about the progressive movement. We want to hear about the National Independence Movement, in which the Tea Party Patriots and other groups, this has been the fastest growing movement since 1765 after the Stamp Act. So let's teach them about that. So I thank you for the time, and God bless America, and God bless you.
Speakers, so please hang on just a few minutes. And also I want to make sure that you know what we need you to do before you go back to your buses and before you go back home. You are here in Washington, D.C. Less than 130 congressmen have public events during the August recess. There are over 530 congressmen and senators, but less than 130 had town halls or coffees with constituents or events where you could actually speak to them. chances are one of your congressmen or between your two senators and your congressman, at least one of them was not making a public appearance during August. So while you're here today, we need to make sure that you go into their offices and let them know what you think, and make sure you let them know. We don't want any more tricks. We don't want any more games. We don't want any more lies. It's time to stand up with the American people. If Obamacare is not ready for big business, big labor, and big government, it's not ready for the American people. One more time, what are we here for? Defund Obamacare!
The chairman of the Columbia, South Carolina Tea Party Patriots, Jack Hatfield.
I've heard you cheer for politicians that stood on this stage. I've heard you cheer for speakers that have come on this stage today. But I have not heard you cheer for yourself coming out here tonight. Give yourself a big round of applause. You've made the long journey. You've made the long trip. You have sacrificed to be here to have your voice heard. Give yourself one more loudest cheer possible. Do you remember when you were a child and you came home from school and you put down your books and you ran outside and the screen door slammed behind you? Your mom and dad might have yelled about the screen door. And you went out into the world and the world was your oyster and you were looking for your pearl. Do you remember that? Well, I got something to say. You found it and you brought America's pearls here today. You, America's pearls, are its people. The people are going to be able to change this country by what you are doing, each and every one of you. So right now, you, America, it is your turn to become the most brilliant pearl you possibly can. Education, motivation, information. You can do that. And I look at each and every one of your faces and I know you can. You are America's pearls. One more big hand for you. God bless America. God bless each and every one of you. And we thank you for being here today. Thank you very much.
From the Alabama Legislative Watchdogs, Ann Eubank.
In the words of Thomas Paine, these are the times that try men's souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will, in this crisis, shrink from the service of this country. My name is Ann Eubank, and I am a rainy day patriot from Alabama. Right now is the time to stop the Affordable Care Law. A law that is neither affordable nor does it give the care that was promised. This law will cause every American, young and old, to spend thousands of dollars on increased medical and insurance costs. Our businesses cannot afford this law. They cannot afford the added burden of the additional taxes and insurance costs on each of their employees. We have the right to choose our own insurance policy. We have the right to choose our doctors, not the government. We, the people, are stuck with this law unless Congress does its job right now. We live in the United States of America, which is a republic. This is not a socialist country, and we do not want socialist medicine. The left is going to spin this, the black helicopter doctors, we have to stand up to them. We have to call their bluff. If not now, when? Our nation can no longer afford for the conservatives to back away from this fight for our freedom and our constitutional republic. We must be loud enough to be heard above the state media. Americans, do not surrender our rights. We the people own this government. Let them hear us. Thank you.
The most recent signatory to Congressman Mark Meadows' letter to defund Obamacare, the gentleman from the 5th Congressional District of New Jersey, Congressman Scott Garrett.
Thank you. Thank you. Defund, delay, let's do away with Obamacare. It is so good to be here with so many patriotic Americans who are coming out, standing up for liberty, standing up for freedom, and as founder of the Constitutional Caucus in Congress, standing up for the Constitution as well. Thank you. God bless you. We knew that Obamacare was unworkable before it was forced upon us as Americans 3 years ago. We knew that Obamacare would take jobs away from America before it was put into law. We knew that Obamacare would hurt American families. We knew that Obamacare would hurt American businesses. We knew that there would be less jobs in this economy and less people working because of Obamacare. With over 20,000 pages of regulations that are coming out of this bill, we knew that Obamacare was a failed piece of legislation. We knew that Obamacare would hurt us as families. We knew that Obamacare would hurt us as workers. And now, after 3 years, you know what? I think the president is beginning to realize that Obamacare won't work for his friends either. The president has realized that it will not work for his friends, so it is beginning to exempt Obamacare for his friends. The president realized that it won't work for people in government, so he's trying to exempt it for people in government. The president realized that